We're going to determine where each rational function is undefined and determine whether an asymptote or a whole appears at such numbers. We're not going to graph these like we did in part 1. This is just really extra practice with grouping, and you might find some weird numbers going on. So basically, when you're factoring by grouping, you should know how to do that. I have a video if you need to see that. But basically, we're going to have to factor first. So this is really our, we're doing the rational. So we're going to factor the numerator, and we're just going to group these together like that. So this is, we're going to factor out of x squared, and we're going to get x minus 1 plus, and I'm going to put a 1 here, x minus 1, which is going to give you x squared. Well, I don't have room, so let me erase that. And then this is going to be, when I factor this, I just messed up. Okay, when I factor the denominator, I'm going to do the same things. I'm going to factor out x cubed, and I'll get x minus 1 plus 2 times x minus 1. And when you clean this up, you're going to get x squared plus 1 times x minus 1. And then you're going to get x cubed plus 2 times x minus 1. Okay, so basically, we have a hole at what we cross out. We're crossing this out. So we have a hole there, and the hole we're going to is at 1. You plug in 1 in the remaining equation here, the depressed equation, or the reduced equation, and you're going to get 2 over 3. So there's your hole. And now your vertical asymptote is where you set this to 0. So we're going to set this reduced equation to 0. We're going to set x plus 2 equals 0. We're going to subtract the 2. And we're going to cube root both sides. So x equals, and I'm going to pull out the negative here, cube root of 2. So that's the vertical asymptote. And I write vertical asymptote like this, okay? That's basically all we're doing on this. We're not taking limits. We're just practicing grouping and finding the hole in asymptote. The hole is the part you cross out, and the asymptote's the other part. Of course, the domain is x can't be negative cube root of 2 and 1. But we don't have to do that. So here we're going to group this, and we're going to get, factor out the x squared, and you're going to get x plus 1. Factor out of 3, you're going to get x plus 1 again. Over, here we're going to factor out x cubed, get x plus 1. Factor out of 2 and get x plus 1. Now let's group it. We're basically grouping these two together. You get x squared plus 3 times x plus 1 over x cubed plus 2 times x plus 1. You're going to have a hole where you cross that out. So you're setting this to 0, and your hole is at x equals negative 1. Then you plug in the negative 1 back into the depressed equation. And when you plug that in, you're going to get 8 over 5. Okay. Wait, is that right? No, you're going to get 4. Sorry. I can't add. So you're going to get 4 in the numerator and 5 in the denominator. Or 1 in the denominator, so that gives you 4. Because negative 1 cubed is negative 1 plus 2 is 1. So that's your hole. And all you do is take this piece and find the vertical asymptote. So the vertical asymptote is going to be at, let's see, we're going to take x, it's the same as it was last time, x cubed plus 2 equals 0, and then x cubed equals negative 2, and so you can just pull out the negative because it's a cube root of 2. That's your vertical asymptote. Okay, the next one is going to be it's factored by grouping. Going to factor out x squared and get x minus 2, factor out of 4, and get x minus 2 again. You want these two to always be the same. And it's a denominator, it's going to be x plus 3, x minus 2. Clean this up again. Excuse me. Excuse me. I have some sniffles. X squared plus 4 times x minus 2. And then over x plus 3 times x minus 2. You're going to have a whole at x equals 2, because that's where that is. You plug in the 2, and when you plug in the 2, what are we going to get? We're going to get 8. When you plug in 2, you're going to get 2 squared plus 4 over 2 plus 3. So that's going to be 8/5. That's your whole. And for your vertical asymptote, you set the other one to 0. And x equals negative 3. So that's your vertical asymptote. Okay, the next one, same thing. It's a good practice by grouping and factoring out the x squared and the 3 here. And then I'm going to factor here in the denominator. And I'm going to get x plus 4, x minus 1. And group the x squared plus 3 together over x plus 4 times x minus 1. These two cancel. That means I have a whole at 1, because that's x minus 1 equals 0, so my x is at 1. I cross that out. That's where the whole is. You plug in 1, and I will get 4/5. That's your whole. And then all you do, it's very simple, is take the other piece, set it to 0. So x equals negative 4, and that is your vertical asymptote. Okay. I'm going to group, factor out an x in this one and get x squared plus 2x plus 1. Factor by grouping, get x cubed times x plus 1 plus 2 times x plus 1. Factor some more. This is x plus 1 squared over x cubed plus 2 times x plus 1. I'm going to go ahead and write this out twice instead. It was easier to see that way. We're going to have a whole here, so at negative 1, because that would make that x, you set what you crossed out to 0, and you get x equals negative 1, and you plug it back into the original equation, and when you plug it in, you will get 0. Okay, and then we're going to find out we just take this piece, and we've already done this one. So basically our x equals the cube root, negative cube root of 2. That's your vertical asymptote. This is your whole. And we have one more. factor by grouping. I have factor out of x squared, and you're going to get x minus 3. Factor out of 4, you get x minus 3. Denominator, we're going to factor out of x cubed. We're going to get an x minus 3 again. Plus, I'm going to put a 1 here. X minus 3, because that's 1 times that. Group everything together. All right. Our whole occurs where? Here at 3. Plug in 3, and you're going to get 13 over 28. You can check it out. We take this piece here to find the vertical asymptote. So we're going to get x cubed plus 1 equals 0. X cubed equals negative 1. Take the cube root of both sides. And the cube root of negative 1 is just negative 1. So that is your vertical asymptote. This is your whole. And that is all. The next thing we're going to be talking about is the tangent problem and the derivative.